Namaste everyone. My name is Kirti and on behalf of Himalayan Yoga Association, I welcome you all on another tutorial. This time we are going to figure out how to do Bakasana or crane pose. Now, crane pose is an intermediate pose. I would not say that a complete beginner would be able to achieve that pose, achieve that alignment, achieve that balance either. But if you have been consistent with your practice, if you are dedicated to your practice, if you are dedicated to increasing the strength of your body, increasing that balance, increasing your concentration, if you have been consistent on the mat, then crane pose is no challenge either. There are many things that you need to work on in order to achieve this pose. Let's see what they are. When it comes to crane pose, you definitely need great arm strength, strong wrist, and entirely a complete workout on your core. If you do not have a strong core, if you have a broken wrist, if you do not have any arm strength, then you may or may not be able to achieve the pose. Even if you do achieve the pose, you're going to end up falling as and whenever you go ahead and try it. So let's do some preparatory poses for crane pose as of now. Let's see what would be a good idea to strengthen your wrists, to strengthen your arms, and to strengthen your core, to activate your core really. Start with the tabletop position, hands exactly under your shoulders, knees under your hips, both of them in line with each other, hip width distance, shoulder width distance for the hands, hip width distance for the knees and the legs, palms on flat on the surface. Make sure your fingers are flat. If you have your fingers close to each other, then you will not be able to balance it. So ensure that the fingers are flat so that you can use the strength in your fingertips to guide your body, to guide your balance as it is. Come in tabletop position. Start by looking up. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. Do this a few times. Exhale. So what you're really doing here is you're letting your wrists get used to all the weight of your body, even though you're only handling half of the body weight on your hands at the moment, but it's a good start anywhere. Then you can do some warm-up exercises for your lower body as well. Just simply come in a squatting position. Make sure it's not the complete malasana where you need to keep your legs away. Just come in a normal squatting position. Hands, your knees exactly in your armpits. Simply put your hands in the front, same thing, the same distance as it was before in the cat and cow position, without leaning too far in the front or separating your knees away from your armpits. Simply stay here, shift forward, shift the weight onto your hands, lean back, shift forward so that your upper body can use to the body weight that you have, lean backwards, shift forward, shift backwards. What you're really doing here is you're working on the core strength. You're working on activating the core over here by moving the weight away from the heels onto the fingertips and holding it there. You're using your core strength to find your balance over here. So lean backwards, lean forward, and you'll feel that the weight is moving before and after wherever your stance is at the moment. So you're really shifting your weight backwards and forward right here. Now, next thing that you would like to do is you can simply come into a plank position, hold it for some time, straight plank, hands under your shoulders, body in one straight line. Allow your arms to get used to it. It will strengthen your core, it will strengthen your deltoids, your arms, your forearms, and extend your shoulders. Do not depress your shoulders. Same thing, make sure that the weight is away from the joints and onto your arms. So hold here for a few seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you can put your knees down and start rotating without bending your elbows so that your wrists can get more used to the forearm balance. Just move your weight around without bending your elbows. Both directions, do it for both sides so that your body is even. Now we can work towards the crow pose as it is. Let's see. Come in a squatting position. Make sure your feet are not too far away. Make sure they're not too close to each other either. Make sure your feet are not separate, not more than a hand distance apart from each other. Make sure that they're at a relatively comfortable distance with each other with your toes pointing outside. This will help you balance in the squatting position. Simply just come here. Now, when it comes to the position of the knees on the arms, it's easier to say that the triceps is where you hold all the body weight of your knees, of your shin bone as it is. Another thing that you can do is you can put your knees on your ulna bone, which is the bone that connects the carpals of your wrist to the humerus of the arm, of the upper arm. So it's a relatively longer bone as compared to the radius bone, which has an edge. You can put it over there, but the ideal alignment for this pose would be simply on your triceps. So you need to really strengthen your triceps as well, which, like I said, it would not be a challenge for you if you have been consistent on the mat. Otherwise, definitely need to work on a lot of things. Simply come up, tuck your armpits over here, lift your heels up, spread your fingers. If you're going to have your fingers closed like this, then you will not be able to balance it. Make sure your fingers are spread and there's a cupping distance between the floor and your hands and your palms. Otherwise, you will not be able to use the strength in your fingers. Allow your hands to guide the movement of the balance. 3 things you need in this pose: arm strength, core strength, mental focus. Simply put your hands at shoulder width distance, exactly under your shoulders. Open your armpits, tuck your knees in your armpits where they are, and allow the knees to slide onto your triceps as and when you lift the body upwards in the air. So look at the space between your hands. Do not exactly look between your hands. Maybe you can create a triangle, an imaginary triangle between your hands, and the top apex of the triangle is the point of your drishti. It is the point that you're going to focus on. It is the point that you're going to need to come up with this balance. If you're going to be distracted by the things around you, you will not be able to do this balance. Remember, drishti plays a major role in this. Hands where they are, lift your body up, heels up, balance your body on your core, lift your hips up away from your heels, tuck your armpits, focus on the drishti, focus on the top apex of this imaginary triangle in front of you. Extend your neck backwards, tighten your core, and shift forward. Now, you can even launch this pose one by one leg at a time. But for me personally, it's easier to balance my body when I have both the legs up together at the same time without disturbing the center of balance, the center of weight in my body. So I launch my legs together up. If you can find an easier way of doing this by lifting your legs one by one, that's completely your thing. Now, there is a misconception about the crow pose and the crane pose. The crow pose is comparatively similar to look at, but it's got a different alignment, different mechanics altogether. Let me show you what the crow pose is all about. In crow pose, this focus is not on core strength, it's more about the arm strength entirely. The knees, they go on the outside of the elbow, so you're locking your knees on the outside without having to let them slide down to your arms balance, and the balance is directed because of the strength in your arms again. The crow pose, Bakasana, Kakasana. The crane pose, one more time just for you. Now the crane pose is a beautiful pose as it is. It is the gateway to the rest of the balancing poses in your yogic asana journey. If you're able to balance your body on both of your arms, that will give you a lot of confidence to try other arm balancing poses like the Kondinyasana, flying pigeon pose, one-legged crane pose. All of these, they require different levels of advancement in your practice, different levels of core strength, different levels of arm strength, different levels of your own personal practice. So practice crane pose for your own strength, for your own flexibility, for your own yogic journey, and enjoy the benefits of yoga. I'll see you again next time with another pose. Until then, namaste.